Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. We hope you enjoyed those two last parallel sessions. And what we'd like to do with you before we actually break for lunch is to really wrap up the forum. So, looking at some of the outcomes, wrap up, but we're also looking ahead because there's still some very important action cluster meetings taking place this afternoon, but also many more steps in the future that we just want to give you an idea of. And for that, we have three speakers with us today. We have Georg Huben, Policy Officer at DG Energy. We have Judith Borsboom. She is the Action Cluster Coordinator of the Smart Cities Marketplace. And we also have Eelco Kruisinga. He's the matchmaking expert of the Smart Cities Marketplace. Hi, all three. Can you just give us a wave just to make sure you can hear and see us? Perfect. I see you nodding and smiling. Excellent. Great.
Stefan, shall we?
Is still in her last session, so she's joining in a second. But Katharina, please go for it.
Shall we start with you, Georg? I think we had two productive days, starting with very interesting discussions, of course, yesterday and running throughout the day today. And they were also very nicely recorded in graphic recordings by our colleague Agatha. But Georg, I was wondering, based on what you've heard, so during yesterday and today, what makes you confident that we can really reach zero pollution and climate neutral cities in time? It seems that Georg cannot hear us, so we'll just see if we can fix that very promptly. And then I can ask the question again. And we can see that we also get you those graphic recordings. You might have seen them already in the chat during the days. They're really beautiful, and they're really summarizing in a very intensive discussions in one image or in one slide, which is, to me, a miracle how you can do that. But Agatha is really a master at that. So we're always very happy to have those graphic recordings. You can see some of them in the chat. She posted them, of course. And you can have a look at those. And we want Georg also to quickly reflect on that as well. Boris, if you could give me a sign when Georg can hear me, then I can repeat my question to him. And we can move on with the discussion of the wrap-up session. I'm not sure, no, Georg, can you hear me now? No, still not.
No, indeed, Katerina, I just wanted to come in and just emphasize those graphic recordings that Agatha has been working on. Please, they're free to download. They're free for you to use. So please do tweet and post on the hashtag #EUSmartCities with your reflections and your ideas. What do you take away from this forum? And it's exactly also what we want to do this session, looking back.
Exactly. And there are some of these prepared per session, of course. So you can also, if you've been in one of the sessions, been in one of the speaker in one of the sessions, might also be interesting to see your thoughts embedded in those recordings, and you can use that. While we're still waiting for Georg to be able to hear us, maybe also just a heads up, this is not yet the end of the Smart Cities Marketplace Forum. There is still the action cluster meetings coming up this afternoon, and we encourage you to attend those. We will also refer back to them with Judith in just a little while, but I now get the sign that Georg can hear me again. Georg? Yes, nodding, great. We were already wondering why you're not waving at us.
I do hear you now.
Very good, wonderful, wonderful.
Most recent sentence in the past year, you're muted or I can't hear you, I guess. So here you go.
Absolutely, and but we're happy that we could fix that, so that's really good. Georg, just coming to that, based on what you heard during yesterday and today. I'm wondering, what makes you confident that we can really reach zero pollution and climate neutral cities in time?
Yeah, well, the sheer attempt to try to make a summary of all things I heard would take a bit more than just 1 minute, of course. But what I think I've seen across the board, across all the plenaries, across many of the parallel sessions, or the most of 3 of them actually I could attend, is that overall we seem to really be on the same page. So there is stuff resonating really throughout this whole event. To start with, cities are at the heart of the Green Deal, of the delivery on climate neutrality, and so on. And Matthew Baldwin, my commissioner Matthew Baldwin, said it also today, that cities are really at the heart, and we cannot reach climate neutral Europe without having cities being the forerunner. So I think that is really the one thing which resonates among so many other positive things I heard and saw for this event, in a nutshell, of course.
Great. No, thank you. A quick follow up there, and a quick question also to our background support staff. Could we see some of the graphic recordings that we had in store, and then maybe Georg also gets to comment on those. In principle, we were looking especially at the 2 plenary sessions of yesterday, where we were talking about the climate neutral cities and the zero pollution. Let's maybe start with zero pollution. Georg, what was your takeaway on that?
Well, I think achieving zero pollution the smart way is possible. It comes with a number of challenges, which then also resonates throughout the other panels and discussions I heard and saw. And that is surely the financing bit linking to the panel today. So it is achievable, and it is synergizing a lot. If you do smart cities, if you are serious about delivering a smart or climate neutral city, you cannot neglect energy poverty, environmental issues, speaking about the zero pollution ambition here, circularity, and all these issues. So in a way, while it is still kind of tagged smart city in our sort of, history, it truly connects to all these aspects. And the EU Green Deal, if I may say so, is a bit the umbrella, the roof of all that, where all these things nicely get together. But again, I think cities are really at the forefront, having the opportunity also to make a difference. And I think it is possible if only we all get together and work together on this.
Absolutely. We have one other of these lovely graphic reportings of the second plenary session of yesterday, which was more directed towards climate neutrality and climate neutral cities. And if we could just see that one as well, we could discuss it quickly. So if we could just change the graphic recording to the one on climate neutral cities, we could talk about that in just a second. But maybe, Georg, that was the second one of yesterday, the second plenary meeting, and we now also see an image of that with, of course, the lovely speakers that we had on that and their thoughts on the European way to climate neutral cities. But what was your take on that?
Well, the one word which is a bit sticking out here again is collaboration. And on a technical level, I think what was also very important and interesting here is, of course, digital solutions, which have to play a part of the, let's say, the envelope of a smart or climate neutral city, because digital solutions will help to combine, bind, bring all this together, intelligent management of data and all that. So collaboration is certainly a thing, and interoperability is one of the other things, which is very important. And it was great to have Eddie Hartog in this plenary session from DG Connect, bringing in a bit more this digital aspect of things. which is really important. It should also not be neglected in order to really reasonably and effectively deliver climate neutrality in cities and then also in Europe and the planet.
Indeed.
Great, thank you, Georg. Now, you've talked about the positive signs that you're seeing, what you're excited about, but just to do that reality check as well, based on what you've heard from this during this forum, where do you think the biggest gaps are? What do we need to improve on?
Yeah, it's actually it's always two sides of the same coin. So if we speak, for example, about collaboration, then the big question here is how do you do that? So how do you sensibly, effectively include your citizens, your actually local ecosystem of stakeholders, including citizens, companies, banks, financiers, the city administration in the driving seat, let's say, but also local researchers who can help with insights and shaping a strategy, a project. So that's one thing. The other thing is the elephant in the room, as usual. Where do we get the money from? And actually, Matthew Baldwin has picked that up very nicely in his speech. He said, like, how the heck are we paying for that? I mean, looking at the nearly 100 billion envelope for delivering 100 climate neutral cities, you get a bit of a flavor that actually the Commission or the EU alone will not solve that problem. So again, a strong request to actually get together on the local level, make it happen with private investment as well, and maybe some other forms of investment, crowdfunding, whatever works. Every little bit helps, I should say. So that's one of the biggest challenges, I believe, to really get the money where it needs to be, and mostly and most importantly, in a let's say simple, straightforward, effective way. So not complicated, not with high administrative burdens. Speaking about procurement here, and really make this part of the city's DNA of thinking about smarter procurement, facilitating that on EU level as well. So this is a bit the takeaways on this challenge end of things.
Thank you, Georg. Yeah, no, thank you, Georg, for those thoughts, and also from your side, and also bringing in some of the learnings, of course, that we had from the 2 days. I heard that also Judith is now with us. Judith is the Action Cluster Coordinator of the Smart Cities Marketplace. Judith, hey, welcome.
Hello.
Perfect, you can hear us as well. That's great. Good afternoon. Judith, we just heard from Georg that there are, of course, some gaps still to fill. And I'm wondering, there are these action clusters, of course, ongoing, and there are meetings this afternoon. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about the action clusters and how they could potentially fill those gaps?
Yes, the action clusters is our community that's organized around specific topics. For example, sustainable urban mobility or sustainable districts or citizen engagement. And people work in these action clusters in initiatives on specific topics in various ways. It can be developing new ideas, taking away specific obstacles, shaping projects. It can also be building capacity, for example, by sharing knowledge about what is working, what not is working. So this is a community that I would say represents our collective intelligence. And we know that we need this collective intelligence to fulfill the tasks that are ahead of us, as was already indicated by Mr. Baldwin this morning. There's a lot of things to do, and this collective intelligence is very important. And there are always gaps to fill, I would say, because societal developments and technological developments, they just go on. We are not the same society, for example, anymore than we were 1.5 years ago. Before the corona. My kids always talk about BC, before corona. And now we have a different society. And the action clusters also deal with these developments with, for example, the action cluster integrated infrastructures and processes has a very nice presentation this afternoon about how urban data helped to steer the UK and Scotland during the COVID-19 crisis. So I think this is very interesting to hear for others how urban data and IT systems can play a role in battling an urban in a public health crisis. But we also have other topics, for example, the citizen engagement, but also the empowerment of citizens, because we know that there are a lot of new policies, a lot of new plans. What are the places that those citizens can take up there? They are very important for co-creation and co-realization. But how do you do that in a good way? How do you also do that in a way that's fair to them, for example, by rewarding them for specific contributions? These are all discussions that are going on in the action clusters. And there are many, many more topics, for example, the introduction of nature-based cities, pre-commercial public procurement, also how to link integrated planning methodologies to the new European Bauhaus. So we have a lot of new topics on the table, and it's also very nice to see that this community is constantly evolving. We have new initiatives being set up, for example, on regulatory frameworks or on citizen control of personal data or nature-based cities that will be launched today. So I think that it's a community that's on the move and trying to provide the right answers to the European model of implementing climate neutral and smart cities.
Great. Thank you, Judith. And it was also good to see that overview of the action clusters. I mean, you alluded to it already. You really want to be able to exploit that collective intelligence, there's a lot of things to do and to discuss. But for these sessions at 2 p.m. today, they're open to the public. But what specific contributions do you want participants to make, and why should they go there?
Well, I think it's very interesting for all participants here to catch up on what is going on in the action clusters, to also hear about the latest developments, as we already discussed, and not only the societal developments or policy developments, but also the technological developments. And the action cluster meetings are open to all the participants, so you can go there. And if you are interested, you also can take a more active role, become a member of the action cluster and contribute in future. So it's totally up to you, of course, the amount of time that you have to contribute to this community. But I would say go there, check out and see for yourselves. And everybody's very welcome, of course, to become a future member of this community by going to our website and clicking on the action cluster pages. You can find ways to apply for the membership. So it's an open community, and everybody is welcome to contribute.
Thank you so much, Judith, for presenting us the different action clusters and also how participants can join and contribute. So if you're curious, do join one of the action cluster meetings this afternoon. They start at 2 o'clock. You have 6 action clusters to choose from. I'm sure there is one topic for you in there that really is close to your heart and that you would like to bring further. So join the action cluster teams in those meetings and start the discussion, or continue, of course, the discussions of the last 2 days. Thank you, Judith. We get back to you in just a little while. But before that, we want to bring our third speaker for this wrap-up session, which is Elko Krusinga, who is a matchmaking expert. Yesterday, we had your colleague George shortly already explaining a little bit on the matchmaking, but we're very happy for you, Elko, to join us here now. And I'm just wondering, there are of course a lot of things happening, and there are a lot of activities ongoing. And if I understood correctly, there is a session upcoming in the next Covenant of Mayors Investment Forum. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that links to Smart Cities Marketplace?
For sure, yeah, definitely. Hi, Katarina. Hi, Stefan. My name is indeed Ilko Kruijsing. I'm one of the two matchmakers, together with George, who the audience has met yesterday. So we have actually a quite good cooperation with the Covenant of Mayors, and we have a session in their investment forum on energy efficiency, because energy efficiency, I remember in the old days that we called it the first fuel. Energy efficiency is a very important area, and actually financiers are very interested in investing in energy efficiency in cities. And we thought it would be good to work with the Covenant of Mayors to organize a session around the topic of so-called ESCOs, energy service companies, because that is actually quite a good middle ground between cities and investors to achieve sizable impact in the area of energy efficiency. So we have a session with the Covenant of Mayors investment forum on energy efficiency on the first day. It's actually, if I remember right, it's on the 15th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I do welcome everybody to join. It will definitely have a financial perspective on ESCOs, not necessarily the technicalities of the ESCOs, but how could cities and investors work together to deliver the ESCOs in various sort of modalities. That's what this will be about.
Great, thank you, Ilko. And so you have this session at the Covenant of Mayors event, the 15th of June. But could you just outline some other steps, the next steps in the Smart Cities Marketplace matchmaking?
Yeah, it's actually, thanks, Stefan. Actually, it's actually a twofold approach. So first of all, and most people are used to this, that we are sort of open. We have open calls for project proposals coming from project developers associated with cities. We are open to accept those proposals. What we do as a matchmaking team, both George and myself and colleagues, is to review those proposals and then match those proposals with our private investor network, with the requirements of the investors within that network. So it's actually ongoing right now. So we have, during this event, we have received 4 or 5 very good proposals that we are matching with our investor network right now. In matchmaking activities, those types of matchmaking activities are ongoing until just before the event next week. But in general, we are open to receive those project proposals at any time, 24 hours a day in principle. So that's one arm of the matchmaking. So receiving proposals, reviewing them, and trying to match them with the varying requirements of our investor network. The second thing, and that's based out of lessons learned experience over the last 1.5 years, is that we also deliver so-called masterclasses, specifically targeted towards cities, to help them, let's say, create the right level of maturity in their project proposals, so that they are sort of let's call it an intelligent customer for the investors. And we have run a number of editions right now, also in collaboration with the Covenant of Mayors, and they've been quite successful, especially small groups, 10 to 15, 16 people, working together in sort of a peer learning environment, helping each other, and also with our help, clearly, to advance their project proposals. And we're using, Judith was just on stage as well, and we're using the Smart City Guidance Package also as a framework for developing those proposals. And I would invite all of you who are listening to this and looking at this to review our communication channels to see when the next edition of those masterclasses are. They're actually quite popular. We're sort of almost oversubscribed, and we're looking to see whether we can slot in additional sessions in the next few months as well. But we have to take care of the summer period as well. So two-prong approach: receiving project proposals and, let's call it, building capacity of project developers and cities to get them to the right level to be, in dialogue with investors. So in a way, this whole matchmaking activity is I see it, if you stand back from this, it's a tool to create these, to help the Commission also achieve this mission of 100 climate neutral cities, because you can't do that alone with public money. You need to have private investment in there. So helping cities to become climate neutral using private finance is I think one of the sort of overarching objectives of what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Great. And Elko, just a quick follow-up there. These masterclasses, yes, you need to register and subscribe to them. is there a fee? Are there charges that participants need to know about?
Sorry, no, that's all free, all free. You just have to invest your time and commitment, basically. That's important, because the success of the masterclass really depends on what you put in as a participant. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you, Elko. And just looking further ahead and for your matchmaking activities, any particular events that you're going to be present at? You mentioned, of course, this investment session.
So we're also working with, yes. Thanks, Stefan. We're also working with Civitas, so let's say the mobility arm of things. Because you should bear in mind the marketplace focuses on sort of three main areas. It's energy, transport/mobility, and ICT. So we're also working with the Civitas Forum to have matchmaking activities alongside that type of event as well. So really looking at sort of mobility type projects as well. So it's definitely not only energy projects that we're looking at, it's also mobility type things. And we're looking to collaborate with Civitas there as well. And furthermore, further down the timeline, we are also looking for a presence at the European Week of Regions. So we are sort of establishing a footprint that, let's say across a number of platforms that we believe are instrumental to advancing the investment in smart city projects, basically. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Elko. So great to have that overview. And again, I think you mentioned before, for all of our participants, please go to the Smart Cities Marketplace website. There you'll have the overview of those upcoming activities. Also, please, in particular, sign up to the newsletter so you can stay up to date. And please do also follow all the social media channels.
Great. Thank you, Elko. Let's bring in Georg and Judith as well. What a lovely view of 5 people together there. Thank you so much. We had serious talks in the last 1.5 days. Very important, very interesting talks, of course, as well. Very engaging. And I think quite some eye-opening points as well to most of us. We do want to, of course, also take a bit on the light touch there. So last question to the 3 of you. Looking back at this event and, just reflecting on it a bit, in your head, what song comes to mind when you think about the event in the last 2 days? Georg, do you want to start?
Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, again, looking back, which is not always a bad thing to do, resonating with this really vibrant, positive, inspiring event, and also seeing the marketplace really kind of getting into this role of facilitating, grabbing fuel for the Explore Shade deal matchmaking funnel we have, so all that, and then together with this highly positive spirit I saw. There's one song coming to my mind, and that's Jamiroquai's "We Can Do It," and I think that is a bit the high note on which we should end this event, in my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Georg. Judith, what's your take on it? What song comes to your mind when you look back at the days that we had together?
Well, I think the Matthew Baldwin speech this morning was very impressive. And what comes into my mind then immediately is ABBA's song, Money, Money, Money. It's so funny. It's a rich man's world.
Very nice, and even some singing in there. Great. So we moved to Yes We Can to Money, Money, Money. Now we're really curious, Elko, what's your take? Which song would you pick to reflect the last 2 days?
Yeah, well, I think I'm just looking outside right now because first of all I was thinking a total eclipse of the heart because of the solar eclipse happening out there. But then again, if you look at the lyrics of that song, it's maybe a bit negative. And then I was thinking, okay, one of my heroes is David Bowie. One of my heroes is David Bowie, so it had to be something from David Bowie. So I was thinking tonight, David Bowie and Tina Turner of the sort of everything is going to be all right. I think that's the sort of main message I think we should be getting from this. Everybody will be all right. That's I think what I'm getting from this, and I think it's has been a reassuring conference. There's all of the tools, all of the instruments are there, and I think all of the sort of the actors are very well aligned. So it's a good thing waiting to happen, basically. Yeah.
Katharina, if you allow, I mean, I that was maybe not planned, but I would dare to take the floor for another minute, because I'm really shuffling my feet to share some insights with our audience, really here. Just like figures, impressive figures, resonating with this positive high note, if you allow.
Absolutely. Go for it, Georg.
So we had more than 700 registered participants. Now that's great. We had in total nearly 500 participants taking part in our plenaries. We had 73, now we come to the fun facts. With this conference, we would be able to plant 73 trees. We have saved 500,000 kilometers of travel. Then we had 60 networking meetings. Really great, still ongoing, as we know from ECO. Until tomorrow, 16 o'clock, by the way. So you have still a chance to have your networking going. And on top of that, we will provide the videos on this platform until 30 June. So this is not a cut-off now. So you will be able to watch all the beautiful videos and statements for quite a while if you wish, until 30 June. And thanks for giving me the room for just saying that. Thank you, Katharina.
Absolutely, Georg. I mean, who can resist fun facts? So I'm just I'm waiting for the bloopers at some point. So I think we should have a session on that as well. But thank you, Georg, for sharing that. And these are indeed impressive numbers. Stefan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, therefore, Georg, Judith, and Eelco, just for giving us your impressions of the forum, also looking ahead, those fun facts. And I have to say, Judith, my compliments on the great vocals. So thank you so much.
So thanks to the three speakers, and also for this light ending of the 2 days that we had together. As already outlined also before, and also from Georg just now, this is not the end. We have a lunch break now, so you can refresh yourself, you can grab a bite, maybe get some fresh air as well. But then there are the action cluster meetings starting at 2 o'clock. And Judith has highlighted there are so many topics, and there are certainly relevant to everything that was discussed in the last 2 days. So pick a topic, join one of those action cluster meetings, and get further collaboration rolling, further inspiration for your own work, and of course also to bring the whole smart cities idea further into development. We will have an evaluation form for this event, which is going to be shared shortly in a thank you email with you. So we're very much looking forward to your feedback also on how you experienced this setup. Of course, also constructive criticism is always welcome. Anything that you would like to see in the next edition, anything you would like to have added, things that you think should be more relevant on the next program. So please fill in the evaluation form as soon as you receive the link to it. Now, from my side, I want to thank you all, and also, of course, most important, the audience, because that's what we're doing this for. And a big thank you goes to the team in the background, the great team at Steinbeis, currently here with Sabine and Vanessa, but I also know that Adriette was very much instrumental in the background, and so was Gabi and Olga. And also 2 gentlemen that were helping tremendously with the technical background, Boris and Simon, who are just sitting there across from me behind the glass wall. So thank you as well for the smooth ride that we had in quite a complex setup between different cities, so many speakers and so many different platforms. So thanks to that.
And also thank you from my side to the participants, of course, but also the organizing team, as you mentioned, Katharina. Very much this collaborative spirit that we've discussed in the last 1.5 days. So on that note, thank you so much. Please do enjoy your lunch break. The action cluster meetings are starting at 2. So we're wishing you a great continuation of the forum.
Thank you.